important issues are going to be treated on this platform, which will go a long way to helping you get your JAM and your WAEC. Like I said before, always subscribe on this and you will never regret it. You are welcome once again. Don't forget our Telegram group. Join it and get the information you need to hit the WAEC once and have your scores in the JAM for your higher institution. God bless you. What we have there is the stress simply refers to the degree of force by which a word or a syllable is pronounced. The extent by which you pronounce a certain word, either it goes up or it goes down, or certain syllables contained in a word, that is stress. Then we talk about what is the syllable is, because if you try to talk about stress, you cannot leave out syllable. In the word syllable simply refer to the pronounceable part, and that tells us that every word has parts. If it's not one part, which we call monosyllable, when you have a word that you can pronounce once and you don't pronounce it again, that's not the part of that should have a sound. Or you talk about when you have a word that has two parts in sound, we call the bisyllabic words. Then we talk about where you have certain words that you pronounce up to three stages before they are finished. 4 stages, 5 parts, 6 parts, and all the rest of them, which we call the poly. Now let's go back to mono. Mono simply means one, so that I can let me do a little digest in that area now. When you look at the word mono in English language, simply refers to one, which means monosyllable has to do with one syllable word. While bisyllable, the word bi, it means two. Like normally used to talk about biennial and the rest of them. That is 2 years of a thing. So bi simply refers to two. And when we talk about two or bisyllable, we talk about words that has two sounds. It has two parts. In that two parts, you pronounce one and it will have a different sound. The other one will have also a different sound. Then the last of that is what we call the poly. From the context of poly, it simply means many. Just to have our normal high institution we call the polytechnics, which has to do with the place of learning many knowledge. That's where that very ideology is gotten from. Polytechnics, a place you study different aspects of knowledge rather. Okay, that is polysyllabic, where we have 3, 4, 5, 6 syllables. Now let's go back to the issue of the stress now. Now we have started saying that it is the pronounceable. Like in the foundation of the oral, we have what we call the intonation. The intonation is spelled I-N-T-U-N I-O-T-I-O-N I-N-T-N-A-T-I-O-N, intonation. Now, it is the rise and fall of one's voice in the course of speaking. That's what the intonation is. Now, we have the rising tone, the falling tone, and the mid. So, in the knowledge of the understanding of intonation will also help you to know when a certain word or a certain sentence rises in the course of being pronounced, or when it falls. Okay, so this has some factors that should be considered, something that should be considered to know when the word rises and when the word falls. But you are dealing right away on stress now. Now let's look at to stress a word. How do you stress a word? You stress it by the use of capital letters. That shows that a particular word has been stressed. Just like in a monosyllabic, it don't have parts. It's only, let's take the word give. Now, if you have to stress this word give as a monosyllabic, it doesn't have 2 parts, you just give it this stress. This is what we call stress in words now. We call it word stress. You are giving the stressing, which means all the given letters in the monosyllabic words are stressed. You can also have something like a table. Now, in this table, you have, even though this should sound like a suffix, but it cannot be because this is a monosyllabic. This one cannot stand on its own. Now, you stress it by giving the whole letters, capital letters. Now, that is for that. And in WAEC and the JAM, for instance, they don't usually or normally ask you to stress a monosyllabic word because or vertically or invariably all the letters in such word have been stressed. So you see, that's why we're trying to give it a cool fit. Don't want to dwell much in this particular area. But let's look at the words by syllabic words. By syllabic words. By syllabic words. I'm sure you're following up. Please pick every information and their details now. Now this has to do with, I said that this word by refers to two. Now syllabic now has to do with two syllables. Two syllables. That's words that has two syllables, two parts. And in WAEC and JAM, they kind of try to use a hyphen to differentiate or to separate the syllables. Now, we have, what do we do? How do we stress, excuse me please, how do you stress a bisyllabic word? That's very important. It's very simple. Now, we look at word classes. We have words we call okay, now we have words that we can call the noun, the verb words, and adjective. They form the parts of speech. Not only three of them form the parts of speech. Now, the lot of stressing on bisyllabic words is that if you have a noun word which has two syllables, you stress at the first syllable. You stress at the first syllable from the left hand side. Now, if you have words that you look at that word very well, it is a verb word, mainly main verb, not auxiliary verb. We now have two classes of verb, the auxiliary verb and the main verb. Now, if you have the main verb, you stress at the second syllable. Now, for words that are adjectives, now most adjectives have suffix, and in the lot of stressing, we don't stress any suffix at all. Even the lot of stress, we don't stress prefix. What is prefix? Prefix is the letter or letters added at or fixed at the beginning of any root or base word, which changes the meaning of such word. That is called prefix. Just like we have, sorry, I'm not digressing, but I want to give you some understanding, not like have relevance. Now, whatever you add here now, this becomes a prefix. This has changed the meaning from relevant to irrelevant. Just we have can. If I have something like can, I want to change it, I will have D. Now, if you want to put a suffix is here, that can change it to a past tense, the can't. Now, suffix simply also mean letters or a letter added at the end of any word to change its meaning or to change its contextual understanding. Like just like we have something like that. This is Sean. Now you can have form. This is what we call a root word. This is form, and this is Sean. This is called a suffix. So when an adjective which basically ends with a suffix, you stress at the first syllable like a noun. Okay, let's have an example. Let's have an example of what I'm just saying concerning the use of noun and the use of verb in stressing them as regards to bisyllabic words. I think you're following now. Please don't let anything distract you. Get your pen. I'm sure you're getting them the important information, because these are basic things we are going to see in the WAEC and the JAM 2025. Okay, let's look at this. Let's go for now. Okay. If you have been around now, I have asked you to suggest a noun that has two syllables. Okay, let's go to that. Now, this is increase. Now, the two syllables are in and increase. Increase. This can be a verb and can also be a noun, because I use both of them to function in two different grammatical environments. Now, as you are looking at it to be a noun, you stress the first syllable, which is in. Then the second syllable, you don't stress it. Now that makes that it is a noun. Now we have something like, let's look at the word refuse. Refuse. This is not by the word refuse, it is a verb. But by the word refuse becomes a noun. That's the essence of intonation. Refuse. Refuse. Okay, now let's assume that this refuse is a noun. You stress the first syllable. Right? Then the second one, you don't stress it. Now, if you look at the refuse as a verb, which is refuse, I refuse to admit my fault. Don't refuse the advance. Please take out that refuse to its normal place. I've tried to use the two words now in two different grammatical environments. Now, if you are using now as a verb, it now means that the first syllable will receive small letters, while the second syllable will be stressed. So this is exactly what we mean by the use of a noun as to be stressed and the use of a verb. So if it is a noun, stressed at the first syllable. If it is a verb, stressed at the second syllable. We have such words like, we also have something like advance. This is advance as a noun. Advance. This is advance as a verb. This is advance. The soldiers are already advancing to the next stage in their battle. Please, can I have some advance? That's a noun. It's a verb. So you stress the second syllable if it is a verb. Stress the first syllable if it is a noun. Okay, I think you have picked that information. Is very important. Just watch out. Some of the papers are given to you, or you are before your screen. It has started already for your jam. Check out when you are asked to make stresses. Check the words if they are bisyllabic. Find out the particular one that is a verb, the particular one that is a noun. Check the one stressed at the first syllable. Check the one stressed at the second syllable. And more especially, the use of syllable using bisyllabic are normally when you are asked to have or look into different stress pattern. What I mean by different stress pattern, there will be a kind of two optional words that will be given to you. Out of that, four optional words that will be given to you. Out of that, one will have a different stress pattern, which means one can be a noun. The other three could be verb words. The other three could be verb words. One could be a verb, the other could be noun word. The moment you're brought to find out that this particular noun, which is to be stressed, because they're not going to stress it for you. Let me give you an example, please. It's very important. Because WAEC or JAM will not ask you to stress a bisyllabic word. They will not give it to you as one of the questions. Rather, they'll use the bisyllabic words to find out different stress pattern. That's what you call it. Now, let's look at this. Option A. Can have river. Option B can have the word decide. While option C can have reform. Then in option D can have something like maintain. Now if you look at these four optionals, what they're trying to find out is the ability to know the words that are stressed either the first syllable or the second syllable. What you got to do is just look at the words. This is river. River is not a verb. It's not a verb word. It is a noun word. And that simply means that river, R-O-E, or R-O-I, which you can be, the sound is E, while the name is I. The problem we're having with oral language or oral English is the differentiation between the name of a letter and the sound of the letter. Now we have river. This is river. Now we have, this is now a verb. We have two syllables here, D and side. We have D side. And because this reform is a verb, we have reform. And the second, as you see this maintain, we know that the noun that you can nominalize, how you can nominalize the verb to become a noun is when we say now maintenance. Now it becomes maintain. Okay. Now with this, you found that three of these are verbs. They are verb words stressed at the second level, while the noun word is stressed at the first level. So automatically your answer should be river. I think you're following up, please. It's very important. Okay, I think where we should put much of our interest now is the ability to know how to stress polysyllabic words, words of 3 syllables and 4 syllables. It's very important. And I want you to take keen notes. Very important note on the words I'm going to give out now. Likely you will meet them in your WAEC exams or your JAM exams, because there have been very common words that WAEC do not easily leave out. They always repeat most of these words at intervals of years, 2 years, and of course this is 2025. If you begin to count some of the questions some years back, the very words I'm giving you now, you are likely going to see them, and you will see them. You see them. Okay. Let's look at polysyllabic. Polysyllabic words. Okay, I think you're following. Now, in this process, we said that poly means many. Then syllable has to do with a word with up to 3, 4, 5 syllables, many syllables or more than 2 syllables. In our polysyllabic words, we are talking about words of 3, 4, 5 syllables. Now let's look at 3, 4 syllables first. Now we have some grammatical laws or factors that have to be considered before you know the particular syllable to stress in a polysyllabic word. Let's look at these suffixes. It is mainly the suffixes that end certain words. Suffixes that end certain words. And like I told you before, we don't stress any prefix that is seen in a word. We don't stress suffix. For that reason, you now consider which syllable now can be stressed if a word has a suffix. Now let's have this suffix. This is Sean. Now why I put this hyphen here simply means that this position or this very place can have either S, T or S to become Sean. But the real Sean we talk about, not talk about information, education, and whatever. This is the real Sean. So whatever letter that comes here as a consonant letter, T or S, makes it a Sean. I think that is understood now. Okay, we have something like ik, something like C, something like IAN, something like AL, something like IAL, okay, something like edge, rotten, okay, something like met, okay, we have met now. Okay, these are some of the suffixes, major suffixes that normally you see in the WAEC or JAM. How do we go? I said that when you see a word that has this suffix, let me not confuse you by leaving this. What I mean here is that this word can be S-I-O-N or T-I-O-N. Please take note. Now, you stress such words at the second syllable. Second syllable from, I think you're following, from the suffix end. That means you count the syllables from the last part of the syllable of that word. backwards. That is from the right side, right to the left. We don't count from here. If you count from here, you will miss it. Let's use this short now. For example, we have something like this. Now we have information. This is in, 1 syllable, 4, 2 syllable, me, 3 syllable, 4 syllable. To have this is 4 syllable word, or a word that has 4 syllables. Now the law now has it that this shun can never be stressed in English language. You can never think of stressing it. Now look at the idea that the WAEC is going to give you now. As each of them will be stressed, each of the syllables will be stressed. We have something like this. A option, because you want to be in your paper 1 for English language, and in the JAM to be part of the section 2. They're going to meet here English and applied English. We have information. We have B option, information. We have the C option, information. We have the option, information. Okay, now with this option now, with the law that you stressed at the second syllable from the subject, so the suffix end, you now look at the suffix. What the suffix now is shun, T-I-O-N. Then when we have shun, me, for, in, and look at the option here that has the second syllable from the end of the word, you find out that it is the letter C, which means this is the second syllable from this end. That's why if you count from this end and get your second syllable, you have the 4 as your answer, which is going to be very wrong, because most of the letters or most of the syllables are prefixes. Now if you count from this end and get 4, which is wrong. Now in the normal understanding, if you use your natural instinct to find out which of the syllable has a higher degree of sound. For that, if you stand and collapse and try to relax yourself, this is not the best way to know which syllable is stressed. But let's look at that. We say information. In the issue of intonation, for that, the word me has a higher degree of pronunciation. Information. So, but don't go by that way, so that you are not allowed to stand in the exam hall and begin to pronounce and find out which of the syllable that is pushing your stomach higher than others, because you may not have that privilege to do that, and it may look very embarrassing. So now you go by the law, the grammatical law or the stress law, that says when you have a word shen as a suffix that ends a word, strike the second syllable from the suffix end. Just count suffix number 1, the next syllable 2 is the answer. So the answer to this is me. You have gotten it. So by these options, you have cancelled the other incorrect answers. And basically, when you have such information, let your mind you quickly cancel this very particular suffix that is stressed. Cancel it. Automatically, it is incorrect. The prefix itself, cancel it. Automatically, it is incorrect. So you have removed 2 incorrect answers. You're now left with B and C. That's another way to, get yourself closer to the answer. Now, with the law that is in your mind, you have already known it. That's why you should read and let these very grammatical laws be part of you. Let it get you, into it. Imbibe them very well. So that's that. Let's take another example using egg. Okay. Let me clean off this side. Let's use egg as another one. Let's create another word using the egg. Let's look at the word cosmetic. Okay. Cosmetic. We have such words like automatic. Yeah, you have 2 words now. Okay, you can create as many words as you can. So far it ends with a suffix if. And don't forget that there should also be a little kind of hyphen here, where the letter T is usually the preceding letter to the suffix ik. Can also be another letter, can be P, can be whatever. But look at this now. How many syllables do we have here? If you're going to run about taking the answer from your think you can answer it from there now. That we have 3 syllables here. We have cas, we have me, we have tick, we have o. This is o. Why do you call it o? Because it begins with letter A and the precedes letter U. It is now o sound. It's just long o sound. You have automatic, automatic. Okay. Now in this is the same law that we used in the use of shun. That the suffix being it, you stress at the second syllable. With this option now, where do we stress? You stress at the second syllable, which is me. This is charismatic, 1, 2, second syllable. Now for automatic, you stress me, second syllable, from the suffix end. Think you're getting? Please pick these letters, these words, and make sure you have them right in your notes. Because whatever that is in your head is not in your notes may really get lost in passage of time. Because like an adage or a wise saying goes that the smallest pencil is better than the shortest memory. So what you have in your brain may not really get to you when you need them. Because that's something I've known about life, that the brain is like the computer we use, or the computer is like our brain also. Because the producers or the people that discovered computer, they try to study the brain, that the brain which God gave to man can accommodate as much information as possible in a given time. Let's say in a 24-hour activity. In a 24-hour activity. Now, out of these information the brain has, gotten in a given day, by the time the person sleeps in the night or any time, the brain begins to sieve. Out of the whole information, it will delete 75% of information. You may not know this. It's very important. 25% will be left in your brain as a retention, that you can remember what happened the other day, the following day. Not everything that you're able to get on a particular day, you'll be able to recall the following day. That is how brain works. That's why whatever information I'm giving you, make sure you put them down in a paper so that you can memorize, can begin to read them all over again. And that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to you. So with this, we have seen that me is stressed at on this word called automatic. While me is here also stressed in this, because this is a syllable. You stress at the second syllable. Okay, that's by the way. I think you have picked it. We're trying to conserve time so that we can meet up. We have the next one. We have the sieve. The sieve. Now, can you get me a word from that your head that has to do with S-I-V-E? S-I-V-E. Sieve. Okay, we have such words like expressive. We have such words like I don't know, intensive. Such way like intensive. Okay, let's make use of these two. Now, this is C. Where do we not stress? The second syllable. Okay, let me ask you, where do you stress now? Just make a little attempt. Just try your mind, try your brain, see. Fine. I'm sure you have gotten it right. Now, if this is sieve, and belongs to the suffixes where you stress the second syllable. For that now, we have pre as the answer, as the very syllable to stress here. Then we have 10 as the very syllable to stress. You're very correct. I wish you had done, I would have clapped for you. Okay, now we have made use of the sieve. We are fasting up so that we can meet up with time. We have so many things, so many information that by the time you get yourself very well how do I put it now? As you try to get them right inside you, you'll never fail your exam. A1. Well, let me tell you this: English language. So many people do not know that. That is the bedrock of every success in WAEC and JAM, especially WAEC. Because if you fail English language, basically you have failed the WAEC. English language is very important. It's very important. So that's why you should give it a holistic approach. Don't play with it. As much as you're also going to give your seriousness to other subjects. Yes, it's very important. I'm not saying that English language is the most important, but basically, as far as WAEC is concerned, that is the bedrock of every. Like people will say that the lion or the python or whatever is the AK1. If I should use that dialect of my language, please. I'm sure you have been watching me from abroad. I'm trying to tell you that lion seems to be the king of the animals, as believed. So now I'm saying that English language is the hallmark, is the basic, the foundation. That if you have it, the work is all over. You're not having any repeats. Okay, let's look at Ian. This is a suffix. Which word can we create and have this suffix here? We have so many words like musician, politician. What are they? Okay, let's look at that. We have musician. We have politician. Okay, politician. Okay, we have Ian. We have Ian. We have the stress. Let me ask you there. Hello, you. See, fine. You stress at T. This is from the suffix and you go backwards. The second syllable there, you stress. Now with this, we also have this very musician. You stress C. The second syllable from the suffix ends. That's where you stress. That's it. Now, if you are giving such words as an option, and the other words as optional answers to a in that year exam, just look out for the second syllable from the suffix end and stress it. You have gotten your maximum mark, and you are already heading towards C5 with the other papers, paper 1 and paper 2. You are moving to B2, B3, and which I'm wishing for you. I'm sure you're wishing that also to yourself. Okay, let's look at the suffix AL. Let's make use of this word political. Why do I pronounce this word political instead of political? That has been the common pronunciation in our local language, in our Nigerian language, because Nigerians have decided to create their own. Unlike what we are handed over. This is political. Now, let me give a little knowledge to you now. Because the ability to know how to pronounce certain words will also help you to know which letters or syllable to stress. We have any word that ends with AL preceded by a consonant letter. Please listen, this is very important. Any word that ends with the word AL, the letters A rather, and preceded by a consonant letter, not a vowel letter. This letter becomes silent. You don't pronounce it. You don't pronounce it. Just like in such word, we call this in principal, the principal of the school. No, it is a wrong pronunciation. It's a wrong pronunciation. Why? Because this is a suffix that ends with AL. And with this AL, the letter here, this vowel letter here, is silent. It has no sound here. For that reason, we say, instead of saying principal, we say principal. I know it may sound very awkward and uninciting. It has not been our language. But I want you to go by that, because why could not is not interested in how you speak it in your dialect, how you speak it in Nigeria. Because where is the West African exam? It's a West African exam, and what we are learning here basically is what other countries of the world learn, as far as they are the countries that learn English language. Okay, now we have political. We have, can you pronounce this word now for me? From what I've just explained, we have is it principal or principal? is principal. The letter is silent. Now, we have this as a suffix. We have this as a suffix. Now, we have stress. We stress at the second syllable as the law tells that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 syllable. Principal. 3 syllable word here. Now, we stress T, which is with capital letter. We stress C, which is capital letter. What I've done is principal from the suffix end backwards. You stress it. I think you are getting it. Please write them down. You meet them, you get them. You get them. And as soon as you get them, you have no option than to shade it right inside your answer block. If you are before you are, please. Okay, before I continue, in case you have some confusion, something that is not very clear to you, you need another explanation or a better explanation, another form of explanation, please check out for our comment section. You can comment on that or ask a question, and believe me, by the grace of God, you shall receive the correct answer. You will likely get the correct answer. Okay, I know that whatever we're doing here today, you may not really get them exactly as it is, but if you're very keen enough and very interesting, you'll get them. Okay, now we have taken ear, we have taken R. Now we're going to look at the word ear. Can you create a word that has to do with ear? What do you create there? We have so many words that we can have here. We have such words like okay, we have something like initial. We have something like initial. Yeah, we have initial. Okay, let's go with this because of time. Now, if you look at this, you feel that it has 2 syllables. It has 3 syllables. Now, this letter, vowel letter here, is a weak form. What do you call weak form? Weak form is any vowel letter that can stand on its own to form a syllable without the combination of a consonant letter. That we call in the weak form. Any vowel letter, syllable is the combination of a vowel and a consonant letter. Like we have been having, we talk about information in vowel and consonant. For consonant and vowel and consonant. Me, consonant and what again? Vowel. Then shen. We have 2 vowel letters flanked by 2 consonant letters. Now, a syllable is usually the combination of the consonant letter and the vowel letter. But in a situation whereby we have only 1 vowel letter, a consonant does not make a syllable, please, for information. A consonant cannot make a syllable, but a vowel letter can make a syllable at the beginning or in the middle of a word. How do I mean that? Now, this is initial. Just like how such word. Let me use this very area. We have, this is called again. It's not again, it's again. For the reason that this letter is forming a syllable of its own, it changes from A to E. It's no longer again, it's now again. It's now again. I get that now. Just like I have something like I don't know, about. We have, it's not about, it's about. This one is in 1 syllable. This one is in a separate syllable. Again is in a syllable of its own. Just, okay, let me give you a letter now. What I mean by this sign here. This is what we call phonetic symbol that represents each letter of the English language. We have a. Okay, this is the transcription. It's again. Because already this AI forms a what we call a diphthong. This one a again. You get it now? Okay, this is about. This they pronounce the phonetic symbol. This about. This a diphthong. Look at diphthong. Diphthong is when a letter or letters are pronounced with 2 sounds, or letters that have vowel letter that have 2 sounds, or when a vowel letter has 2 sounds. Like we have I. This one now is silent. What we have here is I. This letter now has 2 sounds. Okay, let me not digress, because I want to use it to teach us about the use of the word initial. Initial. Okay. Now you know why I call it initial, not initial. It's initial. It's because this letter is silent. It's not initial, it's initial. Okay, now as it is a suffix, we have 1, 2, 3, and we stress at the second syllable. Now ini, now we stress e, ni, shell. This is the answer. E, this stands on its own, and the ni becomes the second syllable from the suffix end. You can create more words using el as your example, as the suffix that ends up such words. Okay, now let's look at the word age. Okay, now there's something I want to talk about this word age. By this is age. But when such word, listen carefully now. When such word ends a word, it's no longer age. It's now age. Listen carefully. We have age mate. This is age mate. Are you getting it now? This age mate. Age. This is the transcription. This age is age mate. Now, when this letter now forms a syllable, this letter is no longer a sound, it becomes e sound. Let me give an instance. Can you give me a word? Call. Okay, let's make use of this. Now, this is not courage. Because of this letter this word that ends with GE, the vowel letter here becomes E, becomes courage. Automatically that in English language, when a letter E ends a word, it doesn't have sound. Please take notes. When in any word, English word, where letter E ends a word followed by, as is preceded by a consonant letter, this letter E has no sound at all. So your transcription ends at the consonant letter, what you call courage. Notwithstanding, the Americans can tell it is like this. It is courage. Because the Americans are trying to change the English language, the British language they inherited from them, 16th and 17th century, to use theirs. That's why we have favor for America and have favor for British. Favor and favor. They are changing some certain things. So that's by the way. We're not going to that now. So, like what I said, I try to make you know why this is E sound and not S sound. And why this has no sound, because it ends a word. Now, we have seen courage. Let's see if we can now. Okay, this is 2 syllables. Courage is 2 syllables and not 3 syllables. Now, what do you stress? Courage. So we stress ka. But this is rage. Already, the rage is a suffix, so you don't stress it. So because it's a suffix, it's now automatically a noun word. So you stress the first syllable. I think you're getting what I'm trying to say. Fine. We have seen it already. So let's look at a word that has 3, 4 syllables, 5 syllables, and ends with these letters each. Let's look at privilege. Okay, privilege. Privilege. Okay, there's something that has to do with letter A in courage goes with them the same in letter E here. Letter A and letter E. This one is E sound, is privilege, and this is courage. Okay, let's still look for a word that has to do with AGE. Okay, just suggest a word from that end you are. Whether you're in Canada, you're in the UK, USA, or whatever. Okay, let's look at this word. Advantage. Now we pronounce this word advantage. Now, by my explanation, what should it be now? What should be this letter now? This letter should be E sound, which is advantage. Why? Because it is preceding letter GE. Now, this is advantage. You have advantage. advantage. 3 syllables. Now with that 3 syllables, we have to stress by the law to stress the second syllable from the suffix end, which will mean advantage. Okay, if you have to transcribe it as advantage. This is advantage. It's advantage. Okay. I will still, if that time, I will still tell you why this letter G here is this symbol. This is the symbol for that. Okay. Now, can we have another word that has to do with? We have something like, okay, college is a bisyllabic village. VILLAGE is a bisyllabic. Can we get another word? That has to do with each. Can you get me a word from that end, please? Especially those of you from Canada. Okay, let's see. Okay, can we get something like oh God. Okay, let's see. Okay, if I use vantage now, is 2 syllable. Vantage.
Disadvantage.
Okay, let's bring disadvantage. Disadvantage. Okay, disadvantage. Now in this disadvantage, we still have the each. Disadvantage. Now we have to restrict it. Still, this is this 1 syllable. Advantage. Okay. If you have to transcribe it, you have this. Okay. This advantage. Now, the law now has to do it. So far, this is a suffix. You stress the second syllable from the suffix end, which is still what we have in advantage, which is the van. Advantage. Okay, I think we are through with that. Okay, we have treated, shown, Steve. Okay, I have another word I did not touch. So this one is very important, very important. This is very important. I'm going to touch it now before I move on to meant. It's very important. Now let's look at words that have with the word tip, that ends with tip. We have so many words for that. Now there are 2 laws that guide this. Where you stress the second syllable, and the other law tells you stress at the third syllable. Now let's look at this. When such word ends a word as a suffix and is preceded by a consonant letter, which is likely to be letter C, stress at the second syllable. If it is preceded by a vowel letter, stress at the third syllable. This very word is very important. When you have a word that ends with TIVE as a suffix, and it is preceded, this very suffix is preceded by a consonant letter, likely to be letter C, stress at the second syllable from the suffix end. Let me give an example. We have something like okay, we have corrective. We have attractive. I get another one that has to do with it. Demonstrative. Okay, fine. I have this one now. This is vowel letter. This is vowel letter. This is consonant letter. This is consonant letter. And each of these words ends with the suffix tive. Now, how do we go? So, by this, the law says stress at the second. Okay, let me give you another word. That we can make it a better clearer. Okay, we have relative. This one goes together. Now, second syllable from here should be, this is corrective. So it's stressed rec. Don't forget that you're going to in pronunciation you pronounce only one letter that has two sounds that appears two. You don't pronounce ko and re. It's correct because now listen carefully. Sorry, I wish I have time. Now look at this one, corrective or correction. This letter is shifted from this syllable to the second syllable. If it has been part of this syllable, it will have been long vowel or. If this letter now has been part of this syllable, it will have been long vowel or. Like we have something like let's say comito. We have comito. Now this is now comito. This letter now is shifted to the first syllable, preceded by letter O. It becomes long vowel. I think you're following. Long vowel or. This becomes comito. Don't forget that this letter is silent. It's not cometa. It's now comito. Now with this is shifted. Instead of being called long vowel now, it becomes short vowel sound. It's no longer long vowel like this. Long vowel like this one now. It is not short vowel. Some authors, like American authors, tell you it is ke. It is corrective. Corrective. Some say it is corrective. Short vowel or short vowel e. Okay, now let's go back to this. With this very consonant letter here, you have a tra. This is standing on its own. What do I call it that time, please? Can you remember? That when a vowel letter stands on its own as a syllable, that it is called a weak form. This is called a weak form. And with that idea, we have tra. We have a tra. It's not a tra. It's a tra. Attractive. Now this is attractive. I would love to see that most of these words are transcribed so that you see there. This is attractive. I told that letter E is silent in every word. When it says a word, this is now the transcription. This is the transition is attractive. So by the law that this T is preceded by a consonant letter, you stress at the second syllable, which is rec. Correct. You stress rec. Now, how do you do now? It says corrective. That's why you can bring this one out and put only REC here as the second syllable. Let's go to the one that has vowel letter is preceding the tilde. The law now says if the tilde ends a word at suffix, you stress at the third syllable from the suffix ends. Third syllable. Please take note. It's very important because you are not going to meet these two words, these two different kinds of words in your WAEC or JAM exams. They are there for you. Now you stress the second syllable. Where do you have this concept of demonstrative? Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4. You count from these ends. Don't forget I say don't count from the left end. Count from the suffix end backwards. With this very vowel letter here, you stress the third syllable. Where is the third syllable from this end? If I can get the answer from you, I don't know where you're watching me from. Manchester, please. London or France. I know the French people, they also love English language. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. By numbering, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. But normally, we're supposed to count from this way because we are now into stress work. You count from the suffix end backwards, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the more should be the word to stress. You stress with capital letter, and the rest will remain as it is. Okay, let me give you an example now. Like this word is a polysyllabic of 4 syllables. 4 syllables. Let me still give you how WAEC and JAM will place it for you using the word demonstrative. We have an option. Okay, demonstrative. We have the option. We have the demonstrative. We have the C option, demonstrative. Then the last option is demonstrative. Okay, from what I told you earlier when we started, that even though the suffix in this word is stressed, it does stress it. Already, your mind should say that it should be a deleted answer. It should be a deleted option. Cannot get anywhere. You are not faced with 3. Now we have D, which is likely something like a prefix, but not likely a prefix. Because mon cannot stand as a root word. Now, we are left with this trend now. Go by the law I now told you. We have been, treating since. That if it is T, now check the letter that is preceding the T-I-V-E. Is it a vowel letter or is it a consonant letter? As this thing is a vowel letter, A. Now, stress the third syllable. Stress the third syllable. The third syllable now, like I said before, is 1, 2, 3. So which one should be the answer in these very options now? I think we should have 1, 2, 3. The B should be the answer, which is demonstrative. Demonstrate. If this place is a vowel, is a consonant letter, the answer, the stress should be at the second syllable. Second syllable. Okay, we have taken the E. Let's go back. Let's go to ment, and we now move to the words that you can stress on the third syllable. The third syllable. This is very important because by the time you get these things very well, you can do these things yourself than waiting for machinery to help you. It is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. You have A1 in English language, B3, and you're not a 1. Okay, let's move now. Let's look at ment. Let's look at ment. We have so many words that have to do with ment, encouragement, management. What again? Government. I think that's correct. Okay, we have encouragement. Okay, we have what again? Management. Is it that? Met. Okay, we have okay, sorry, stop at ka. Okay, sorry. Encouragement. 4 syllables now. Encouragement. It's not called. This is ka. Short vowel a. Short vowel analysis. Encouragement. So I can still tell it is enco. It's not. Oh my God. Okay, let's go. Now we have this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's itemize them, or let's number them. Sorry. We have 1 from the suffix end. We have 2. We have 3, and we have 4. From the suffix end. We have encouragement. Now, with this idea of this, we are stressing the second syllable from the suffix end, which is the rage. We stress the rage. It should now go in this one, encouragement. That's why it should be stressed now. Encouragement. Okay, we have seen certain suffixes, certain suffixes, which by the time you meet them in your jam or WAEC, you just go by the law of stressing as regards to the suffixes and stress the second syllable. All these ones I've mentioned them. Something like education, something like information, deformation, transformation. This one. But the reason why I'm trying to, for those of you that just joined us now from wherever you may be viewing this very platform or special lesson for WAEC, candidates and JAM, please, I try to let us know that there's a letter or a particular letter that should, precede this ION. So this is what we call Sean. By the time T put T, the Sean, or you put S. Just for the brief that are just joining us. Then we have this Sean, we have the ig, we have the c, we have the ear, we have the r. I also said that when a word, any word that ends with an, irrespective of the four-word consonant letter that comes before the n, the letter here is silent. I use the word principal, which is principal, which we call it principal. But the normal pronunciation is principal. Why you should make use of the normal pronunciation? Because of the issue of stress. Issue of stress. We call it principal. Now we have ear, we have ear, we have teeth. I gave you a law that concerns this, that if it is a consonant letter, you stress at the second syllable. If it's a vowel letter here, stress at the third syllable. They will have men, I have each. I also said that if this word begins, this particular age begins a word, it's no longer each. Is now a. Is now a. This becomes a. But if it's a word, it becomes e. This letter now changes to a to e. To each. Okay, that's by the way. Okay, I think, like I said before, any confusion you are trying to have or you're having in the course of this explanation, please don't hesitate to visit our answer section or question rather, and get us the areas of your confusion and whatever comment you feel you want to make. I feel that it's important you get very much interested in this, because these are the things I want to make. I don't know if you still have a time to look into certain way that you stress at the test level and the surfaces that you are likely going to see that makes up the third syllable stressing. Before I round off, I want to appreciate your stay with us these very few moments we have been on this. And if you have any confusion, a question, don't forget to visit our question session and make your comments, ask a question, and you get the answers right away. Once again, you are welcome.